So my presentation today is on cybersecurity in healthcare. And let's start with the next slide. What are cybersecurity attacks in healthcare? So as we were assigned reading on Monday, Dr. Huang actually assigned us one of the articles talking about cybersecurity attacks. And specifically, it talked about how healthcare was the number one industry or one of the most sought out after industries for hackers to attack. And if you think about it, it's pretty much because there's a lot of valuable information in healthcare. Um, if they attack a hospital, they can get the patient's past medical history, their EHR records, their social security number, their credit card number, and insurance information, and so on. And so this is why hospitals are a huge target for cyber attacks. And according to one of the AMA articles I read, also cited at the end, 88% of ransomware attacks are actually targeted to hospitals. So why is this problem on the rise? So if you think about it, every day a hospital will exchange information with a third party payer or a pharmacy or another outside source. And so when a patient gets discharged, the doctor has to bill the insurance. And so he will send over the billing code and the patient information. And on top of that, he also has to send information to a pharmacy so that the patient can get their medication. So he'll send over an e-prescription with the patient's profile. And so those are just examples of how information is exchanged from one organization to another organization. And if you think about it, this happens hundreds of times a day with one organization alone. So you think about all the thousands of organizations in the country that are doing this daily, it makes healthcare vulnerable, a vulnerable industry for hackers to attack or seek after. So sharing electronic health records is extremely important. So even though sharing information between organization to another organization may make healthcare more vulnerable, it's something that you can't get rid of. So according to this statistic, which is actually from American Medical Association, AMA, 85% of physicians believe it is very or extremely important to share electronic health records from one organization to another because this essentially saves costs and improves patient outcomes. So it's something you can't take away from healthcare. If anything, the only other solution is to increase security or increase cybersecurity within hospitals. Looking at the next slide, problems that arise from cyber attacks in healthcare. So according to American Medical Association, AMA, healthcare providers identified three main problems in cyber attacks. And the first one is cybersecurity is a patient safety issue. So when a hacker gets into a hospital's network, it can not only steal the information, but it can also mess with the information so that patient information may be incorrect. And this actually disrupts a physician's work or procedure. And it makes their work very hard to do because they do not want to work with incorrect information. The second one is physicians heavily rely on health IT vendors for network and system security. So if you think about it, physicians are not usually are not IT savvy or IT pros. So a lot of times hospitals heavily rely on a third-party vendor such as IBM to take care of their system security or network. And so the lack of knowledge in knowing how to prepare for a cyber attack or understanding what a cyber attack is can be a con for hospitals. The third one that AMA talks about is HIPAA compliance is not enough to protect patient information and records. So HIPAA is great because it is a policy that tries to protect patient information, but it's only a policy. It's not enough to really fully secure patient information, and something more has to be done, such as cybersecurity minimum requirements or more investment in this area. So these are just statistics that show what I just talked about. Most doctors believe that it does interrupt their operations. Most believe that breaching does compromise EHR security, and most see it as a threat to patient safety. And the last slide, how to increase cybersecurity in hospitals. So according to one of the articles that's referenced at the end, the two most important factors to enhance cybersecurity are reducing endpoint complexity and improving internal stakeholder alignment. So from this study by Kaiser and Jalali, they interviewed 19 IT specialists from hospitals and talked about the cybersecurity system there. And from extracting all this information, they believe that these two factors are the most important to enhance cybersecurity. Other factors do play a role, such as hospitals should aim to improve cybersecurity beyond what is minimally required. So maybe there is a minimum requirement there, but they should enhance it even more. Another issue can be that policymakers should actually spend more time making policies for cybersecurity instead of just HIPAA policies that don't really implement anything to cybersecurity.